Most people think sleep is the absence of activity, but in the 8 hours you're unconscious, your body is running one of the most complex and essential biological operations of your entire day. And most people are interrupting it without knowing what they're interrupting. Here's the mental model most people carry about sleep. You get tired, you lie down, your body shuts off, you wake up, you start again. That model is wrong in almost every detail. Sleep is not a shutdown, it's a shift change. The systems that run in the background during waking hours, your immune system, your endocrine system, your brain's waste clearance system, your gut's repair cycle, they don't power down at night. They power up. Night is when they get their turn to run at full capacity without competing with the demands of conscious activity. And they run on a precise schedule. The first hour of sleep looks completely different from the fourth. The fourth looks completely different from the seventh. Each phase of sleep serves a specific biological function, and if any phase is cut short, fragmented, or skipped entirely, the function it was responsible for doesn't get done. This is why 6 hours of sleep doesn't feel like 8 minus 2. It feels like something fundamentally different. Because it is. You didn't just lose time, you lost specific biological operations that only run during the sleep phases you missed. My name is Dr. Nathan Cole. This is Hidden Health Protocol. Let's go hour by hour through what your body is actually doing while you sleep and why every phase matters more than most people realize.
Let's start at the beginning. You've just fallen asleep. In the first 90 minutes, your brain cycles through the lighter stages of sleep and enters its first period of slow-wave sleep, also called deep sleep or N3. This is the most physically restorative phase of the entire night, and it's front-loaded. The heaviest concentration of slow-wave sleep happens in the first 2 hours. After that, it becomes progressively rarer. What's happening inside your body during this first deep sleep window? First, testosterone production begins. As we covered in the last video, the Asian Journal of Andrology research identifies this early window as the primary period for testosterone synthesis. The pituitary gland releases luteinizing hormone in pulses. The testes respond. The manufacturing cycle runs. If sleep is fragmented in this window by alcohol, by a warm bedroom, by an alert on your phone, that cycle is interrupted before it completes. Second, growth hormone is released. Human growth hormone, one of the most powerful cellular repair signals in the body, is released almost exclusively during slow-wave sleep, not in small amounts, in a single large pulse concentrated in this early deep sleep window. Growth hormone drives the repair of muscle tissue damaged during exercise. It stimulates fat metabolism. It supports immune function. And in men over 40 whose natural growth hormone levels are already declining, this nightly pulse becomes increasingly critical to maintain. Third, the brain begins its maintenance cycle. Glial cells, the support cells of the brain, become more active during slow-wave sleep. They clear metabolic waste, they repair the myelin sheaths surrounding neurons, they restore the energy reserves that neurons depleted during the day. The first 2 hours of sleep are the most hormonally dense of the night, and they're the first hours that disappear when you stay up late, drink alcohol, or sleep in a room that's too warm.
As the night progresses into hours 2 through 4, the body's biological focus shifts. Slow-wave sleep continues but begins to lighten, and two systems that had been running in the background step forward, the immune system and the gut microbiome. Your immune system doesn't operate on a fixed schedule during waking hours. It responds to threats as they arise, but during sleep, particularly in this middle portion of the night, it shifts into a different mode. It produces and deploys specific immune cells, T cells, natural killer cells, cytokines. It processes the immune challenges from the day and calibrates its responses.
Vaccine researchers have long known that sleep in the hours after vaccination dramatically increases antibody production, the same mechanism that runs every night, processing every immune stimulus your body encountered during the day. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Experimental Medicine found that sleep enhances the ability of T cells to bind to their targets by improving integrin activation, a mechanism that requires the absence of the stress hormones that are elevated during waking hours. In plain language, your immune cells work better when you're asleep because the hormonal environment of sleep enables a level of immune function that simply isn't achievable when you're awake. Meanwhile, your gut microbiome is completing its own circadian cycle. The bacteria that produce butyrate, the short-chain fatty acid we covered in detail in Cluster 3, are most active during this window. The gut lining is undergoing its overnight repair. The inflammatory bacteria that accumulate during the day are being regulated, and the vagus nerve, the primary communication highway between your gut and brain, is running its overnight calibration cycle. This is why gut health and sleep health are not separate topics. They are the same cycle running simultaneously. Disrupt one and you disrupt the other, and the research confirms exactly that. People with the highest gut microbiome diversity are also the most consistent sleepers. The causality runs in both directions.
Here's where the research becomes genuinely remarkable. Between approximately hours 4 and 6 of sleep, the proportion of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, increases dramatically. This is when dreaming occurs. But REM sleep is not just the dream phase. It's also one of the most critical phases for cognitive function and brain health. During REM sleep, the hippocampus replays the day's events and transfers information from short-term to long-term memory. This is not a metaphor. It is a measurable neurological process. Neural patterns that fired during waking experience are reactivated during REM sleep, consolidated and integrated into the brain's long-term architecture. This is why sleep after learning is not optional. It's the mechanism through which learning becomes memory. But the most important brain event of the night happens in both deep sleep and REM sleep, and it's the glymphatic system. The glymphatic system is the brain's waste clearance mechanism. During sleep, the spaces between neurons expand by approximately 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through those expanded spaces, flushing out the metabolic byproducts that accumulated during the day, including amyloid beta and tau proteins, the same proteins whose accumulation is most strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease. This clearance doesn't happen during waking hours. The glymphatic system is almost exclusively active during sleep, and it requires both adequate depth and adequate duration to complete its full clearance cycle. A single night of disrupted sleep measurably increases amyloid beta accumulation in the brain, confirmed in human studies using PET imaging. Chronic sleep disruption accumulates this buildup across months and years. The superagers we covered in V15, the people reaching 80 with the brain of a 50-year-old, protect this window with a consistency that researchers describe as nearly universal across the group. Your brain cleans itself every night, but only if you let it run the full cycle. In the final hours of sleep, roughly hours 6 through 8, the body begins transitioning towards waking. Cortisol, the hormone we've been tracking throughout this series as a primary driver of inflammation and metabolic disruption, begins its natural morning rise. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it's one of the most important hormonal events of the day. Here's what most people don't know. The cortisol awakening response is not a stress response. It's a preparation response. The morning cortisol rise is what mobilizes energy, sharpens alertness, and prepares the brain and body for the demands of the day. When it's functioning correctly, rising sharply in the 30 to 45 minutes after waking, it sets the hormonal rhythm that keeps cortisol appropriately low in the evening, enabling the deep sleep that will come the following night. When sleep is cut short, when the alarm goes off at hour 6 instead of hour 8, this cortisol rhythm is disrupted.
The morning peak doesn't fully develop, the evening baseline doesn't come down as far, and the cycle of elevated evening cortisol that destroys sleep architecture, suppresses testosterone, and drives metabolic disruption begins again. Insulin sensitivity also undergoes its most significant restoration during these last 2 hours. Research has consistently shown that adequate sleep duration, specifically reaching and completing the 7th and 8th hours, is associated with significantly better glucose metabolism the following day. Cutting sleep to 6 hours doesn't just make you tired, it makes your metabolism measurably less efficient at processing carbohydrates and regulating blood sugar. And for men over 40 whose insulin sensitivity is already naturally declining, losing those last few hours compounds an already deteriorating system. These last 2 hours are the ones most people sacrifice first. The meeting that runs long, the episode that autoplays, the extra work that bleeds past midnight, and they're the hours that contain the metabolic reset your body needs to function correctly the following day.
Let me bring this together, hour by hour. Hours 1 and 2, testosterone is manufactured, growth hormone is released, the brain begins its cellular maintenance cycle. This is the most hormonally dense window of the night, and the first one disrupted by alcohol, late nights, and poor sleep environment. Hours 2 through 4, the immune system runs its overnight calibration. T cells bind to targets, antibody responses are processed, the gut microbiome completes its circadian repair cycle. The gut lining is restored, the vagus nerve recalibrates. Hours 4 through 6, REM sleep deepens, memory is consolidated, the glymphatic system runs its full clearance cycle, flushing the amyloid and tau proteins, whose accumulation the research most strongly associates with neurodegeneration. This window cannot be recovered during the day. Hours 6 through 8, the cortisol awakening response develops. Insulin sensitivity is restored. The metabolic reset that enables the following day's energy, focus, and hormonal function is completed. 8 hours is not an arbitrary number. It's the time required for all 4 of these cycles to run. Shorten it, and you don't lose time. You lose specific biological operations that don't get rescheduled. Every system we've covered across this entire series, hormones, gut health, inflammation, cognitive function, biological aging, is downstream of these 8 hours. They are the foundation, not a pillar, the foundation. I've left a link in the description.